Okay.
Hi Bindu.
Hello, Nureen. Super. So, welcome everyone to the last session of this year, and let's welcome 2021 in a with much better spirits, and hope it brings a lot of joy to all the people in the world. So, okay, today's session is open. It's open. Feel free to ask anything. Feel free to share anything. I'm sure all of us have lived our lives, had our learnings. So while we are just four today on the call, five, let's make it a great experience. Let's see what we can share, what we can learn. So over to all of you. You're all part of Positive Lights group. How your experience has been, and what would you want to discuss today?
Could you summarize what happened in the past sessions?
Ajal, is that you?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. So, Ajal, in the last few sessions, we discussed topics like how to manage conflicts, how to manage workplace conflicts, personal conflicts, what are the genesis. And then we had a session around values, and a lot of topics. So what I'll do is, Ajal, I'll share with you the YouTube links of those sessions, so you can always go through those. And
I happened to check your channel. It was really informative.
oh, great! Thank you, Ajal. Thank you so much. So Ajal is a new entry to Positive Lights group. It's his first session, so very warm welcome to you, Ajal. This is more like a family. We might not know people, but we know that they're always there standing with all of us. So,
Sounds assuring.
great. Okay, so I can see Preeti and Krishna also. Hi, Krishna. Welcome, everyone.
Hi, hi Bindu. Good morning.
Good morning. So, if you're comfortable, come on video. That'll be even better. We'll be able to see your faces, and it's more personal. Excellent.
I'll need to keep my phone somewhere then. Actually, I was doing simultaneously my office work also. So
Oh, okay. So we will know your expressions when your boss calls and when your colleagues call.
yeah,
If we had
Okay.
not attended the earlier sessions, will today's session be useful, Bindu?
Oh, yes, Ruchi. So it's not a continuation. Today is a very open forum, and this is again an experiment. I wanted to, because we've discussed so many things in the previous sessions, I thought it'll be good to open the forum to all of you for any questions that you might have. And if you ask me, I have something to discuss. I have loads, but then I would like today the whole 1.5 hours to be yours. So, what is that one question you would want to ask, or one thing you would want to learn, and we can take it like that. It's a little different format.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, Pankaj, Krishna, I know that you have been attending all these sessions. I know that very diligently you have attended. So, let's start with just having those discussions. What has been your takeaway? What is it that you are liking in these sessions?
Yeah, sure. Bindu, this definitely positive lights is a very, I would say, very motivating, very positive. First thing in the morning or during the day, the kind of messages you get. You read small stories, you reflect, and it's a good reminder. See, a lot of time, what happens is that uh, many times you get to hear what you already know, but the reminders and the practice is very important in doing good things and making sure that you are on the right path, right? So I think that way it's a great platform. I couldn't attend the first session on the conflict, but the other two sessions were very good. And I always kind of relate some of the learnings or the tip what you give to Gita classes. I mean, I know I bring this up, but it's been awesome experience to go through Gita, each sloka, its meaning, how it is applicable even in today's world, and how do you manage relationships, how do you manage work, how do you manage entire surrounding, and be relevant in today's time. So it has been a good learning. For me, I also gone through a lot of ups and downs in my life in last 18 to 24 months. I left my stable uh, banking job. I started my own startup, which kind of went into a lot of up and down because of the COVID. Finally, we kind of got into consultancy and are doing reasonably good. So it's been a, I would say, the support from Positive Lights and Geeta has been very good in terms of making sure that we do not fall down during these trying times, and also believe that what in life, whatever happens or whatever comes in your way, it's actually in your best interest. And uh, I always feel that connecting the dots is always possible once you look back and not going forward. And finally, dots are connected. If you really look at any event which happens in your life, uh, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah, and when you are able to connect those dots, belief on whatever is happening actually gets strengthened. And in Gita, it's very beautiful, and I think you also mentioned in some or other form is that if anything happens in your life which is as per your wish, then it's good. If it doesn't, then believe that there are larger plans, right?
It's
So
better.
yeah, so it's a Hari Kripa versus Hari Icha is how we kind of get it. The only one thing I somehow struggle a bit even today is on some of the uh, interpersonal relationships, and that is mainly with friends. What happens is I I'm a very straightforward person as a nature. And when somebody just tries to manipulate me or try to act over smart, and some people think that they are very smart, but they think that others are not, which is the biggest mistake people do. That is where I'm not able to control my emotions, and I kind of give it back in a very, if I say, very very rude way or very direct way, where people tell me that you should be more diplomatic. There's no need to kind of give it back. Let them feel that they are smart, or whatever. So I'm just trying to. I think New Year resolution would be to step back before you react, respond rather than react, right? And make sure that you do not kind of get into those small petty things. Yeah, that's one thing I just want to work. So that's
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you so much for sharing and sharing how all of this is helping you in your journey. And it gives me more light to, how we do things, but we don't know how it is impacting the world. And it helps to know your perspectives to see how it's helpful and gives me a sense of purpose as well. So thank you for asking that question. I think let's take that question as the starting point, and then we can build over it. How about that?
Yeah, yes, Pankaj, I totally agree with you. Sometimes, like in our response, we say something very harsh. So I believe like our harsh reaction is the scale which we say. Like if someone would have said me like level 10 of insult, I would have taken that. And I try to give the same level of insult to others, assuming that that person's capability is also that much to take the that much insult, or like his is equally capable of taking the same which I took. But it's not the case. People take things very differently, and it shows very different colors.
Great. Okay. So, if I were to ask you, Pankaj, what you shared, does that happen all the time, or does that happen with few people? Does that happen with few specific people? Um, is it a pattern in your life? How do you diagnose it? How do you identify these patterns? Is it only one time that it has happened?
No, no, I think there is a pattern. Definitely, I even I could kind of figure it out. One was the trap of expectations, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'm telling you, with the help of Gita and some of the quotes which we receive in positive lights, I think, and this belief that I'm enough, and you really need to, and I think the very important point what I've learned is that if people are interested in you, they will make sure there is enough time, there is enough opportunity, there are enough reasons to meet you and do whatever they want to do with you. The reasons for not doing something will always be there when the intent is not that strong. So where there is a will, there is a way is such a strong, such a simple but such a strong, kind of a metaphor that you can use. That I've kind of reconciled that, okay, this is how it is. People will come, people will go, everyone has their own journey.
Hmm.
We are in a train where people will go to their station. You don't have to kind of hold on, right? And kind of make that relationship patchy or one-sided, right? So I think that is fine. The only thing where still I'm not able to reconcile is few people where I kind of became very close, uh, thinking they are genuine, and suddenly uh, they become manipulative. They try to kind of include you somewhere, not include, and they think that, okay, this is how you can play around with people, and that is where I kind of lose my control and become little bit more straightforward with them. But I don't think it's a very big problem, but it still kind of makes me feel bad that why I have to react, right? And give that much of importance to that person. Even I mean, if I actually ignore, he will be more agitated. My God, why the reaction is not coming? So that is where I actually want to reach, right? So that's
Great. I think it's a it's a problem that I think everyone can relate to, right? All of
yeah.
us in our relationships have been into, these traps of expectations, as you said, and to really understand what we are. So here is, and I can share my perspective. Might not, I mean, we can all agree to disagree because everyone has their own life journey. So here is what I think my formula to stay happy in relationships was. So I was one of the kind of person who would want to build deep relationships with people, right? If I have a friend, then the friend is, someone who knows everything about me, someone who I know everything about, and the levels of expectations are higher, and the depth of the relationship is achieved. Rest of the relationships were at a very very shallow level, and I wouldn't even call them as friends. And this is the life, quite some years ago, before my journey started. So I realized one pattern very similar to what you were saying, Pankaj, that my driver was to build deep relationships, and I used to feel very very good about it. My driver was to fulfill other people's expectations and then expect them to fulfill mine. And of course, I mean, we know that 100% of the times we can't read, we are not mind readers, and we will end up hurting people, and people will end up hurting us. So there was a continuous cycle in which I would trust, then get hit again. I would trust, get hit again. And most of my day or time would go on just contemplating, why did feeling hurt, why did this person do this, why. And one very, I would say, one of my mentors asked me that, can you keep everyone happy? I said, of course not. We all understand that we can't keep everyone happy. So I really liked his way of living. And it was after a lot of efforts that I got into this. And I realized that, yeah, you know what? Maybe we define ourselves as a person who's a people's person, wants relationships, but actually, life is very simple. If we were to live in a there is one core circle, you know, the core, and we call it as our own happy island, right? In this core, there is me and my immediate family, right? This is like my core circle, me, my husband, my daughter. Now, after this core circle, there is my next immediate circle, which is my extended family, our parents, our very very close friends, and trust me, friends as in one or two, not our siblings, people who we really, who define, who have played a part in defining who we are today. So some people who are very close to you, and then there is the next circle, which has your extended friends, relatives, and whoever you want to put them. Now, how to deal with life, and this is what has been my formula, that for me, the most important part is this. This is like my most important and urgent matrix. Mein na? This is the place where I spend 99% of my time, to ensure that if there are things that are going wrong, if there are things that are toppling up, I do get impacted, and I feel like I should get impacted if they are the family. But so first step for my transformation was this, and I can say that I've written a book on this because I realized how the transformation happened and what are the things that I did, and whatever I'm telling you are some things that I've applied in my life. These are not um, read up or something that is not practical. So my first thought process was that, is this issue or is this person worth that much time that I take away from my core? If the answer is no, then I know what to do. However, it would, even if the people are in your extended circle, which is this, they also end up doing things, we also end up doing things that might hurt. So here is something that I learned very, it took some time, but it's a very pertinent thought. So think about it. In every relationship, there are some boundaries. In every relationships, with your spouse, with your, and these boundaries are not physical boundaries, but I'm talking about the psychological boundaries. What do you mean by that when I say every relationship has a boundary?
Basically, it means that there is a limit to any act of yours, like whatever you can say to that person or share with that person or do with that person. So there is a limit to everything. You cannot be just 100% yourself with anybody and everybody.
I would say 100% yourself with everyone.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, you're acting.
Okay, but sometimes people may not like, even if you are very close to them. So, so
I
I'll
mean,
give you an example. Okay, so maybe there is a small group of people or friends, and this I have personally faced once. Okay, and till today don't know how to overcome or come out of it. But and so group of 5 6 friends, okay, family friends, everybody goes together everywhere, okay. And now all of a sudden what happens, one fine day you are having fun, all of you, everybody is having fun, but one person, maybe she's not in a good mood, maybe she's um, uh, that's her nature, okay. So suppose we are splashing water at everybody, okay, so I also splash water at somebody. Now she shouted back, I because she didn't want it to happen. But there are like 5 other families over there, and all of them heard, right? So it's very insulting. So maturity is like you don't reply back that point of time. That's what I read on some of your messages itself, okay, at on Positive Lights group, okay, or maybe I would have read somewhere XYZ material. So you don't shout back, you don't reply back. it's okay, but you don't show a feeling also. You are neither happy, you don't know what to do, right? Because there are too many people around and you don't want to fight, because next time these are the people you have to live with or stay with. How to react? I have not been able to come out of this till today because I feel insulted from
Mm.
within, because the other people heard how somebody shouted at you and you did nothing. So either you did not have an answer, or you know that you were doing wrong,
Mm.
which is not true, or
Okay, I understand. So you're talking
yeah,
about this particular incident, and that happens at times. Now,
yeah. And it's not
we
just
people,
once, okay? It happens sometimes. It's not a generic thing. Sometimes it happens with, like it
all of
happens
us
with
go
me.
through
Some
that.
other time it may happen with somebody else also, okay?
Yeah.
So I've seen like different situations. Anybody reacts in a group, okay? When you are in
Mm.
a group, the person on whom the reaction has come, the person feels insulted. How to manage that?
So Ruchi, tell me, we are in this group,
Yeah.
okay, and suddenly Shweta comes and she starts shouting at me.
Hmm.
Right? Maybe she's in a bad mood and she's just you know totally blasting me. Now, Ruchi, you know me, and Shri knows me.
Very good answer. I
Are
understood
you
what you're
going
trying to
to?
tell me.
What are you going to think about me, and what are you going to think about Shweta? You understand
I'm
who's
going to, yeah, 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 I'm getting it. Yeah.
right?
I'm going to think what I actually think about you. I will not go by the perception of the other
Right?
person has. Yeah.
So we feel that we are getting insulted, but it's actually the other way around. And how you react to that situation is what will define your respect. So, in that situation, if you stay quiet and wait out for the time, you will command or you will have respect of others in a group. But if you also shout back,
But
then
that
you will have.
does that not mean that you have accepted your fault and you were doing some mistake? And
What do you think? Now, I've given you a scenario. I can
no,
tell Shweta, I can tell Shweta that Shweta, I understand. I don't actually understand where you're coming from, but let's talk about it offline.
mm,
I can leave it there as well,
yeah.
right?
Mm,
So how maturely I handle is how I'll get or command respect from others, if at all I need it, and I need it.
mm,
Absolutely. Why to deny it? So,
mm,
in these situations, we perceive that if somebody has insulted us, we are getting insulted. It's actually not.
yeah.
People actually
So because
sympathize
this is a
with
very
people.
common thing I have seen in a group, like, and this has been for many years, I have been noticing. So, as I said, it's not always like your own situation, but I've seen like, one or the other person gets, thrashed or shouted by on upon by somebody, okay,
And
for
then,
some act of theirs, which they
yeah,
did out of fun and definitely not to hurt anybody. And then we know that we have to live with these people. You just can't avoid them
absolutely,
also. Yeah.
absolutely. And remember, one line that helps me a lot is hurt people.
Hmm. Hurt people. Okay, I didn't understand.
Anyone in the group who can understand this phrase?
Yeah,
Let
so people who are hurt, they tend to hurt others. And there's some things, sometimes, you may explode or anybody else may explode because they're going through something within themselves and they just it is probably a pressure release for them to shout. And so people who are hurt will hurt others. I think this was one of the very beautiful things that helped me on Positive Lights.
But in
Thank
this
you.
case, like you are hurt, you are not hurting anybody. But you're not saying anything, you're not hurting anybody, right?
No. So what it means is, Ruchi, that the reason I'm shouting at you is not you.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
The reason I'm shouting at you is the hurt that I have inside.
Okay. Yeah.
My issue. It's my fear. It is my mood, my feelings, my experience, my morning, my fight with someone that's making me react.
Mm.
Ruchi, where are you?
Nowhere.
Ruchi is just
Actually.
the recipient. And Ruchi can
Mm.
very gracefully say that, okay, I see you're not in the right mood. I'm sorry for that. And move on.
Mm.
I'm saying
No,
that
but
you will.
yeah, at least you cannot say a sorry, but you won't say anything, but you won't say a sorry.
That's also a personal wish. I mean,
Mm.
if that, and I would leave up to you how what's the relationship and what's the ego gram with the person. But the point is that gracefully handling it can help in terms of just thinking कि ठीक है उसका mood नहीं ठीक है तो कोई बात नहीं. At the same time, there is a level of emotion or fear that we will also have because our brain works on that. And that is the way, that is the moment, Ruchi, when you tell yourself that what just happened is not what insulted me. Now, how I'm going to react is what will define my brand.
Okay.
Right? Now, coming
Yeah.
back to Pankaj's question, and I want to now again pick up that thread about boundaries in relationships. Now, when we were talking about boundaries, it's not the physical boundaries, these are the psychological boundaries. So, for example, uh, when me and my husband started our life together, we were very good friends since 10 years. And yet, because we were living together with each other now after marriage, we established one very interesting and one boundary that come what may, we will not crib about or say anything bad about each other's families. We will work it out together, but we will not. So that's a contracting, that's a boundary that we set for each other, and we were very open about it. Similarly, with friends, for example, um, there are boundaries of what we can talk about, and there are boundaries of, and we all have these invisible boundaries, right? These are invisible boundaries that we have in every relationship. Now, my question is, Pankaj, and everyone who has been through that, when you get into relationships, and I was talking to one person the other day, and she was quite hurt with how things went with her friends. And she was telling me that, you know what, this friend of mine, she helped me, she stood by me for one time, and I was so indebted to her. She became my best friend over a period of time. And then I would just take some of her remarks, like, how are you dressed up, you are so dehati, you don't know how to host people, and she would make those comments. And this lady who was talking about her friends, she said that I would just take all of it because this was the friend who stood by me when things weren't good. Now, in this instance, I hope I'm able to make clear, there's a person A, there's a person B. Did something for person A, they became friends. Okay, now person A is very indebted. Now they became friends, but B, once they became friends, she started taking advantage in the sense that she was very open with person A by saying that you're not dressed up properly, you don't know how to do this, you're mannerless, and blah blah blah. So these were parts of their friendships, and it really broke off very 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 badly. Now my question to you is, what went wrong? Was it right on the part of person A to keep hearing from person B?
Definitely not.
Now, that is the boundary
Even
that you set. sometimes in our relationships, we get so indebted that we let people hurt the self-esteem, hurt, some. So the first boundary that we need to set, and we have set it for even, between husband and wife. The first boundary is anything that lowers my self-esteem, my self-concept. You're not going to say that, because you know what? You are my close friend and I'm going to take you seriously. Ruchi, you were saying something,
No, I was just saying that I agree, like the person should not be just listening.
right? Now,
Yeah.
how to have that conversation? Now that you're indebted and you
Mm.
have let the person in your life, and now you're
Mm.
giving them a free hand to say whatever. Now, how do you have that conversation? That is the problem. Sometimes we just don't know where to put boundaries.
But sometimes anger may overtake, the, in these situations, if you have to reply back, you have to really, do that with lot of thoughts, right? With a lot of thinking has to go behind before you actually answer. But I think you'll keep controlling yourself, and the trigger was somewhere. The trigger. It was just a trigger situation when you may not be able to control, and you may just shout back, and then it may worsen the situation. You may lose the relationship forever.
Absolutely. So it's like a volcano. She said
Yeah.
something, I ignored. She said something, I got hurt, but I ignored. She said something again. Now I'm ignoring the person because I don't want to talk to that person or call them in certain settings, because if I call her in my friends, other friends setting, she will say the same things to me in public, and it will be very mean, right?
Yeah.
Although I'm
So,
indebted
Bindu,
to this person.
how do you set these boundaries?
Yes. Now that is a big question. That is where the authentic conversation comes into play. And when the first question is not about how to set boundaries, the first question you need to understand and realize is why to set boundaries. Why,
Bindu?
Pankaj, why Ajay, would you want to set boundaries in in any relationship? Uh, while you think about the answer, yes, Shweta, I don't know if you were saying something.
Yeah, sorry, I thought you took a pause and it was
Oh,
a
that's
kind of
okay.
a break. Yeah, so Bindu, I happened to come across a similar situation last year. I remember with one of my closest friends. Um, Apparently, we were having a conversation, and I must have said something which I didn't realize, and that was she actually took it she took it very deeply, and she sent me a text about getting over the friendship. And I was for me it was kind of a setback. I never realized that it would take a very serious turn, but I took the courage to actually pick up the phone and speak with her and clarify things with her, that until that day I have been saying so many things, and it was never highlighted to me that, I mean, anything under the sun I could just share with her.
Hmm.
And suddenly I see a reaction coming. So was she giving too much of thought to what I said? And maybe it was just, I mean, she also had to look at what I said and not taking it so seriously. But nevertheless, I accept that I must have said, I apologized, and at the same time I also said that, what I expect from her is that at any point of time she feels that I'm crossing the line, it is important for her to highlight that to me rather than just accepting, because sometimes it happens that to a certain extent one accepts it, but after some point of time it just goes overboard. So that was the expectation setting that I did. It did take us a little bit of time to come back to normal, but yes, we did have cordial relations. And today I would say that we are back to square one. She is undergoing a difficult scenario, and she has been vocal enough to tell me that I have stood by her side. It was a tough situation. I What I believe is, in fact, I did tell her that why were we having these text exchanges, and why couldn't we pick up the phone and talk rather than having these text
Oh,
exchanges. I believe
absolutely.
it's, yeah. So I
The
said,
text that you that the text that you use write in a particular tone can be read in a very different tone,
Yes, yes.
and that's
So
very
hence I felt the conversation really helped, and also inviting the other person, because sometimes I may have blind spots which I'm not aware. So it's very important to be very upfront, because she's my friend. So it's important for her to, and also at the same time, I told her, well, I did say that I don't mind whatever you say, but yes, I will apply the same thing if I feel that, there is something where you're crossing the limits. But the conversation really helped. I feel that sometimes we not feel, but I firmly believe that we do need to have these conversations, because they will also have new relationships, and we may just not realize and say something which may just go the other way around.
absolutely, absolutely. So thank you for sharing such a beautiful live example, Shweta, and that too from a different perspective, right? I was talking from a perspective that I didn't like what she said. You're talking from I said something that
Yeah.
the person didn't like, and then that's another perspective that so Pankaj and Ajal, were you able to think through why do we need to set expectations? What is the need?
Honestly, I'd say it is for your own mental well-being, so that you're not affected even in the worst way possible. Your self-esteem doesn't take a hit, your confidence doesn't take the hit,
Yeah, absolutely.
and that way you can mutually respect each other much more.
Absolutely. So, one of the intent of setting these expectations in a relationship is to make the relationship stronger, and starting your conversation with the intent that, you know what, Ajal, since now we are friends, and I really cherish our friendship. Here's something I wanted to bring to light. I know that you're not doing it by meaning, or I just wanted to share with you something that I'm very uncomfortable when you say that.
That's actually kind of really smart way of putting forward and initiating that conversation.
Yeah. So having a mindset of I'm okay and you're also okay. It's just that this tone, this language might not work with me. So simple, small little things like, when we got married, newly married, and our dad, to in order to wake us up, and when we were very late risers, honestly, he would start clapping outside the door. He would just clap 3 4 times and just get up with that thud. I never used to like it. I used to hate it actually. But then the point is that if you keep hating it, you will keep breeding that anger in you. It's a very small thing. So I
You
had a very
need to be
honest
open about it,
conversation.
I mean.
Yeah, and I had a very honest conversation about it. So that what is this clapping all about? I really feel my start of the days, goes bad, and I explained him how I feel about it. I didn't tell him why you do it. I told him that how I feel about it. And when the language changes from you to I, the whole conversation changes. Now he doesn't do that. Of course, nobody wants to consciously, when you know that something hurts someone, you would not consciously do it. Only insane people can do it. Then they're not even worth making friends. But then if once you have opened your heart out, you have told them you don't like it, if you've told them how you feel about it, even if then they are doing it, then I think they need to get into the outer circle of your list. And once you tell how you feel about it, 99% of the people actually get conscious of doing it again, and that strengthens the relationship. So having these kind of conversations, setting expectations. So one of the
I
examples
feel,
that
sorry, I'm interrupting you, but I feel it may weaken a relationship also, just not strengthen.
okay.
So as I told you, like it is not for the first time, and there are multiple scenarios I had faced. So I also had a very, very good friend. I have a very good friend. I still consider her as my friend. So, and very close to me. and we shared almost anything and everything, and we could have spoken for hours. And still now, matlab, even we talk very less. Like even whenever she calls or I call her, we talk for hours. We don't come to know how time passes by. So our thinkings are very like we have lot of stuff to talk. So, it so happened ki when I moved to Bangalore, and it was 4 years back, and in between I went to Gurgaon, and before that I was in Bangalore, and that was the time when we became friends. So it was like almost 14 years back we became friends. And then I went for a few years in between to Gurgaon. When I came back, I had the memories of our old times and our friendship, and wanted to relive those memories. But there has been a big gap in between, right? We had kids in between. Earlier it was just couples, all of us. And I had the same things in my mind, which the life which we lived earlier. So maybe like my expectations were there ki she's a close friend and I can ask for anything and we will be meeting up the same way and all. So a lot of things were there in the mind. But irrespective, she's busy, I am busy. Slowly and gradually, I felt like over a period of 5 or 6 months, there were a lot of things which got built up in the mind and in the heart. Okay, whenever I tried to meet up, she was busy, or she tried to meet up, I was busy. So some things like maybe some, expectations is what I will call. So they were building up in the mind, and one day, like we blasted over something which she said to me, and I just told her ki no, I don't like it, and I just disconnected the phone, and then we didn't talk. She came to my house and she was doing some landmark
Hmm.
course. Okay, something she did. I am not too much aware of it. She said she has gone through a counseling because she was also missing me. She's a close friend of mine and she wants to talk to me. Okay,
Hmm.
so like you are suggesting that, or anybody would suggest we should talk. So I told her, and I didn't share anything with her because I didn't want to lose her as a friend. I just wanted to keep quiet. So maybe I am that kind of a person. In all situations, I try either I will blast or I will keep quiet. I'll choose to keep quiet in the first place. Okay. But in that case, I'm not able to, tell them that I'm hurt because of them. So, so I kept quiet for 5, 6 months. But when she came, she sat and we spent the entire day. We didn't came to the topic. We spoke about anything and everything else, but not that why we were talking so less now.
Hmm.
So when she was about to go, it was just half an hour left. She said, she told me that, we should speak and you just tell me what all you didn't like. And I really listed out all the things which I didn't like in 5, 6 months. And she heard everything very quietly, very patiently. And she agreed to what all I told her. She agreed to all that, and then she just went. Okay, and she said nothing, but after that also it was the same. But like, we never spoke the same way, like we used to talk every day.
Ruchi,
So
thank you for bringing that up because that brings me to a next topic,
hmm,
right? While talking about it helps. But here, the talk, one, what I've heard is the talk happened quite late and last minute, in last half an hour, if you're listing down things, giving it to her, of course, I can understand the dynamics, right? Now, there are, when you take a house on rent or when you buy a house, take a bank loan or whatever, there is a contract that you sign,
hmm,
right? Why do we sign contracts?
so that we are on the same page.
Yeah,
Both the parties are on the same
yeah,
page,
we
or
spoke now.
everything is on. Yeah, it's a proof, kind of like whatever we agreed on.
Proof for what? Why do we need it?
So that none of the us steps back from whatever our commitment is.
But if somebody steps back, then there will be a conflict,
Yeah.
right? That's why we have contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts are proactive ways of resolving any potential future conflict. Do you agree?
Yeah.
What is a contract? It's a something that we sign. Contract is something that we sign to proactively think about all that can go wrong and proactively resolve or avoid any future conflict. Do you all agree with that?
I just want to say that this fact is blowing my mind right now.
Now, when is this contract required? It's not only formal written contract, but whenever our life goes through any kind of big change, when we get married, we do some contracts with our spouses, right? Even if it is as simple as घर में दो बिस्किट के पैकेट आएंगे, you are not going to eat my biscuit. Every small little thing on which we can have a fight, we make contracts and agree on some mutually agreeable terms. What is non-negotiable for me? I speak it out and I put that in a contract that this is something that I won't take. For example, me sitting at home, you going out for 4 days on a boys' trip, I'm not going to take it. Sorry. First, you send me to a girls' trip and then you go your own way. So, there's small little things. I don't want to sit and brood about it. But I would just say that these are non negotiables from my side. I will feel bad if this happens. Not necessarily it has happened. Then the second stage comes when we have children, right? Now, Ruchi, when our children were born, was the life same with the spouse? It changes,
Yeah, it changes.
right? That is the time, a big change, when again recontracting is required. Okay, now that we have a third person in hand, how do we deal with our relationships? What are non-negotiables for you? What are non-negotiables for me? My husband very clearly said that I need time from you. I don't want you to be spending all the time with the child. Now, that was his non-negotiable, and mine was some things else. But then we did talk about it. And what happened in return was that we were so clear in making decisions about, because I know already what he's expecting and he knows what I'm expecting in the toughest situations. When COVID happened, things changed at home.
Mhm.
Maid nahi hai, offices are at home, children are having their schools. Again, change, which means time for contracting. Now, these are some things that I've learned over a period of time, that whenever in your close relationships or your friendships, that setting situations have changed, you recontract in advance rather than expecting that life will be same. Then you are that I think ostrich is the one who shaturmurg who doesn't see the danger coming and gets. So you need to see that if you have changed something in life, relationships will be impacted, and thinking about it in advance, having a contracting, having a conversation around it. Now how do we, so Ruchi, when you came to Bangalore, that was the right time to speak with her and have a conversation around, now that I'm here, things will change. How do we deal with it? What are my non-negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? What will you not like? In fact, sometimes we go to an extent of discussing that when I'm angry, please don't leave me. Even if I say get out, don't leave me. And I'm saying that as a contract. My husband knows that he can't leave me when I'm when I'm angry. If he leaves me, then God bless him and saves him. And in turn, and I remember these were our early conversations. And he said that when I'm angry, leave me for 5 minutes. Because I thought that when a person is not angry, you need to be with him. So I used to cling around with him and he'll get more angry, more. So his coping mechanism was very different from my coping mechanism. So we agreed to some funny things. Like I said, whenever we have a fight and I am angry, irrespective of whoever is wrong, you need to say sorry. So he would come and he would say sorry, I'll mellow down, and then we'll have to. But that was between me and him. We agreed to it and we laughed over it. And I would say sorry later on if it was my fault or whatever. So these are some coping mechanisms. Now, this is a concept called contracting, proactively thinking about, now that my life has changed or now that I want to build our relationship, what are those non-negotiables for me, what are those for you. Let's sit and talk and discuss and get to a neutral ground, so that if this situation comes, we know how to handle it firsthand. So that's also about reprogramming or programming your brain, giving them pre-instructions, creating a schema in your. So I'll just stop right now. I've been talking for a long time. Any thoughts from your side? Does it make
I
sense?
have two questions, Bindu.
Sure, Rajal. Yeah.
Um, I'm still like a college student at this point, and I have not had any strong bonds with my friends yet. Like you mentioned, the core circle and the extended core circle, right?
Mhm.
Now I have trouble understanding who to bring in, who to not keep, and I also have the self-esteem issues as to what do I bring to the table.
Mhm. Mhm.
There's always this lingering thought whether I will I be enough, right? It's really brings me down, puts me in a negative state of mind.
Mhm. And what makes you question that?
I don't know, it's just that every friendship or relationship that I've had has not lasted very long. I tried looking back, contemplate over it.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's my fault, sometimes it's not my fault.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hold on to those feelings for too long. Sometimes they don't tell me what's wrong and then just leave.
Mhm.
And this has affected me so much that now I am think more than twice before opening up to anybody. I
I
just
can understand. I can
It's really
understand.
hard for me to speak up about this to anybody at this point, even to my own parents.
I can understand. So, Ajal, you know what? You reminded me of my college days. I also did not have too many or even one best friend for a long period of time. And in college, for example, I had one best friend. Absolutely, I had one who I got along. And third year, tak we were. Which year are you in, Ajal?
I'm doing my second year right now.
Your second year. So third year, tak na. So we became very thick. But I had gone through multiple, rounds of, if I were to say it on,
Betrayals
yeah,
or
I had a lot of, I wanted a very nice guy in my life. So I would choose, or somebody will propose and we'll have, you know, a boyfriend and girlfriend kind of affair, college type wala thing, and it'll break down 3 months, 4 months, and I'm like, nah, nah. So I also went through that thing. यार क्या है यार कि मेरी बनती नहीं किसी से ये what's happening. So I was very disturbed at one point in time, and I have one Jiju brother-in-law who's like my anchor in life. Okay, so, and he's quite older to me, so I spoke to him. I said क्या चीज हो यार कोई मतलब I'm not getting into a stable relationship. And he said यार तू college में है. You know what, the more number of relationships you go through, the more you learn about them. And you know what, by the time you get that final person, you will be so experienced what to do, what not to do. So your life will be actually happy. And now when I look back, I feel, yeah, you know what, every relationship that I've had, I learned something out of it. Not only boyfriends but also friends. Every relationship I had learned something not to do. So these are years. And tell me, everyone in this, I know that all of you have passed that stage. Ruchi, Pankaj, Shri, Shweta, Tell me that. Tell me if this is a normal thing to explore relationships in those ages. So, are you really expected to have long term, and not only boyfriend girlfriend but even friends? What are you, Ajal? Are you expecting too much from yourself?
Actually, I can't say much about this because I have legit zero experience.
Legit lo batao. Okay, now we are on YouTube, so I'm not going to say too much. But yeah, let's talk on phone after this. But then
Sure.
uh, it's not even about affairs. It's about having friends, then breaking up, then going through that pain, then understanding.
That I can relate to, yes.
Yeah, some, and you are still creating a self, what do you call, or an awareness that who are the kind of people I get along with, who are the kind of people I don't get along with, what do I do with these kind of people who I don't get along with. You understand? So this is something
Yes, I do.
which all of us go through our own learnings, and these turbulences only help us learn about relationships. So I would say, rather than giving up on them, no relationship is perfect. You've you must have seen your parents, you must have seen your relatives, or the best of friends. Tell me if even one you see as perfect. If yes, then you don't know full full picture of their relationship. Tell me one. Do you see any perfect relationship?
No, I do not see it to be perfect. I see it as giving commitment and sticking to it.
Absolutely. It's like, it relationships complement each other. So whatever I miss, the other person fulfills, right? So it's more about learning from these, and then going ahead, exploring, start. And always I tell this, how is trust built? This is a question to everyone. Trust is a big part of relationships. How is trust built? You start with what?
Small gestures, basically.
Small gestures, okay.
Actions.
Start with actions, okay. So this person A meets person B, okay. This is a new person, new potential friend that you meet. How much trust will person A have on person B?
Minimal.
Hmm? If 0 to 100 is the scale, Ajal, what would how much trust will you place? Where will
Maybe
you start?
10. I don't know.
10, okay. How about Shweta or anyone else?
So, Bindu, it depends. For example, let's say you and I are meeting for the first time. Fine, we say that okay. I will see your pattern of behavior. Let's say we give a call. You and I have a conversation. I get some confidence about you. Then we say okay, we'll meet at Starbucks at 6 p.m. And we meet. So it builds my confidence and trust. So when we have a conversation, we take
Build over
actions.
a period of time, right, Shweta?
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
you start with 10, 0 to 100 ka scale mein, how do you start in your first meeting?
The first impression.
The first meeting, how do you, when you go, even when you have not met the person, but when you go, what is the trust level on the person? Just a scale in your mind.
I did have a trust on the person. That's why I went and met the person.
So 10, 20%?
I would definitely say, I at least if I'm concerned, 60 to 70%. That's what prompted me to go and meet the person.
Yeah. So basically 0 to 60%, somebody else filled up for you. Whoever introduced this person to you, or
Yes, based on other people's
yeah.
perception.
Okay. So now I want you to think about this, and I know that it's very counterintuitive of what I'm telling you. But this is my biggest learning in corporate life. In fact, I got this learning from one of very, very senior leaders. Um, he said, Bindu, always start with 100% trust. whenever you are getting into a relationship, whatever kind of relationship, let the person break it. But you start with 100%. How does that sound?
Just
Scary?
like you said,
Very good.
counterintuitive.
Very good.
I was very lucky to have such people in my life who could give me this, and probably I'm doing this with the same intent. But start with 100%, yaar. At least you are trusting them 100%. Let them, give you a chance to break it. And trust me, most of the people want to live up to the trust they are endowed about. But normally, our brain will push us not to trust people. And then what happens? When you start your relationship with a 10% trust, what are you doing? You are just testing the person. Now I will see whether he will call me or not. Now I will see whether he'll do this work on time or not. Now I will see what he's going to tell the person. Arey, why in our relationships are we always in the testing zone? Why can't we just give 100% and say, "ठीक है. Now that I heard that you have spoken about me to someone, now my trust level has gone down. Now is the time to have a conversation." But before that, why should I even get into a testing zone? You got my point? So why
But
burden
it may be very harmful at times also to you in relationships, especially when they are in your immediate circle relationships. So you cannot really trust. So I had an experience when I got married, and I have a sister-in-law, my Sandeep's brother's wife. So and and I have a sister-in-law also, his sister, Sandeep's sister. So, and his mother. So, I had some perceptions about my sister-in-law and my mother-in-law, which I shared with my bhabhi because she was elder to me, and I just shared generally to went out, and because she knows them from the same relationship as I know them,
Hmm.
and she went and spoke everything to them. It took me so much of time to correct that relationship, right?
I
So
can
you, when I went with 100% trust and somebody breaks it, the damage is already done many times.
Ruchi, now in the same example, and thank you for sharing that. See, in the same example, when you went talking about somebody to someone, you are already breaking the trust of that somebody. Think about it.
Mm, no, but I'm not sharing or talking about anything which they shared with me. It was my perceptions which I was about those people which I'm sharing with them.
Whatever it is, my perception about you, Ruchi, I speak to Pankaj about it. Am I not breaking your trust? Am I trusting you? I would speak about my perception with you. Why would I go and
So, but
talk about?
whatever you will, so whatever new relationship you're trying to get into, so you have to start with trust. Okay. So you will say something or the other, right? And it has to be about yourself. It cannot always be about yourself. Because if it is about yourself only, then you are not breaking anybody's trust, right?
Great. So
If it
thank
is
you for,
about somebody,
yeah, thank you for bringing that point again. Okay. Now, always remember that our brain consciously works, but subconsciously also derives or translates stuff. Okay, most of the conflicts that I have seen in social relationships with relatives or with whatever has been that this person A went to person B, and to build a good relationship with person B, talked about person C, right? This person C is actually, the same. Matlab, I am giving you that benefit of doubt ki hoga wo perception true. But remember, this relationship that you are building or sharing the repo and saying that you're trusting this person with this information, this is actually lowering this person's trust कि भाई तुम उसके बारे में मुझे बोल रहे हो, उसको जाके मेरे बारे में बोलोगे. So you are actually lowering the person, the trust of.
So you should never talk about anybody else to anyone.
Never. That's a rule for a happy life. If you have a perception about someone, talk to that someone.
But then how do we vent out?
Yeah, talk to that someone. Went out. So uska kuda, and sorry to use that kuda word, but that's how my this is exactly a question I asked my mentor, and he has a very rough language. Okay, so
So
he said कि भाई तुम दूसरे का कूड़ा लाके तीसरे को डालोगे तो क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हो. अगर किसी ने तुमको दिया है, if somebody has given you a bad taste in the mouth, and if ever you want to take it out on the same person, or you help resolve it, or you have those first build relationship, a full 100% loyalty level trust with someone to be able to talk through it. But not to a newer relationship. You go to a person who's also new to you and talk about third person. If you are in the process of building a trust with this person, you are giving your 100% trust, but you don't know if that person trusts you 100% or not. So these are some, things that, and 90% of the times, the kind of social conflicts that I have seen is because, there have been instances when somebody came up and told me that, Bindu, what crap they talk about you. Now, what is Bindu's reaction? Bindu's like, no, tell me. And that's when you get into that trap. My relationship, if some B comes to me, okay, if B comes to me and says, and I have lived that, all my, people, friends, relatives, and, even in the community that I live in, they have seen me doing this. If somebody comes to me saying, Bindu, C person was talking about you like this, you know what they were telling? I said, no, and please don't tell me. It's okay. I have my relationship with C, and it's okay. If I have to talk, I'll talk to them, but please don't tell me. Life को simple रखने का यार. Simple. What is the need for me to know? If person C is angry with me, he or she will come to me and tell me. If he or she is going to person B to tell, it means that they're just venting out and plan. I feel pity for the C if they're going down here. And I also will question my relationship कि यार मतलब अगर इतना close है ही नहीं कि that person can come back and tell me some things, then it's fine. Then I distance. But do you understand how to keep it simple? Trust doesn't mean, okay, now let me come to the next part. Okay, so far is it making sense, or am I talking in air? Are you able to create sense of what I'm saying?
Yes, it's like you're spitting facts right now.
Great, thank you. Okay, now we're talking about something called trust, and I want you to remember this. This is one of the best things that I've learned about trust. 100% trust on what? I'm saying start with 100%, but on what? We trust different people on different things. Do you agree?
Yes, definitely.
What are those things? Can we define it?
loyalty.
Loyalty, yes. Now,
Reciprocation.
if for every person we want a loyalty level trust,
Hmm.
then you are actually uh, expecting too much from life. You may be in the process of building loyalty level trust with everyone in your life, but trust me, you don't need so many people to build this trust. What else?
But at least you should have one such relationship where
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
have this
absolutely.
kind of a trust. Yeah.
Absolutely. that takes consistent efforts, absolutely you must have. But with everyone, if you expect that they'll be loyal, then you will also need to live that. And it takes a lot of pain to build a loyalty level trust with a Flipkart guy. Why do you want to do that? Who's just come and delivered? He called you that I'm coming in 5 minutes. Right now, you don't want to build loyalty level trust with him, do you? So there are people who are playing different roles, and we don't want loyalty level trust with everyone. Now, loyalty means what? That this person will never speak ill about me, or this person will always stand with me when I need him or her. That's loyalty level trust. A trust that I know that this person will never ever speak ill about me behind my back. But what are the rest of the four? I've already written the word 5, which is the deepest level of trust. The first level of trust, or I shouldn't even say the component of trust is the right word, is the trust on competence. That I know Ruchi ko de diya hai, Ruchi has the competence, she will do it. I know that if there's a position to be filled in my organization, she's the one to go for. That's the skill on competence. Or that's the trust on competence. The second level of trust, so competence is also in personal relationships, it's competence on that I trust she will get me the right kind of outfit, she knows, she has a lot of, so different ways you can comprehend that. So competence level trust. Then there is something called commitment. This is the component of trust where we say that, you know what, if this person has said it, if Ruchi has told me that she will do it in 5 days, she will do it, come what may. I know that. So there is a trust that we have on some people on their commitment level. Agree? Making sense? Now, third is sharing level trust. Sharing level trust is that I trust that if Ruchi hears anything about me, or if she knows something important that needs to be shared with me, she will share with me. Fourth is understanding level trust. Understanding means I know that if I speak with Ruchi and I share something, my perception, my brand, my anything that, or I vent it out on her, I share my point of view, I trust that she will not judge me and she will understand my point of view. I trust on understanding that. And then last is loyalty. That I know that in any circumstances, Ruchi will never ever speak ill about me behind my back. Now, one exercise that you can do with your relationships is that, write the names of people. Say, for example, I write here Ruchi. Okay. On a scale of 0 to 4, 4 being the highest, how much on Ruchi's competence do I have a trust? How much do I trust Ruchi on her competence? Maybe I rate her 4. Now, how much I think Ruchi trusts on my competence? That also, if I'm in relationship with the person, I would know. So say maybe 3. Then again, how much I think I trust Ruchi on her commitment, and now how much she thinks that how much she thinks that I am on commitment levels. So similarly, do it from both sides. And Ajal, this might also help you in your relationships. Sometimes what happens is, while we only need commitment level trust from people, but we undeniably we expect loyalty level trust. Some, unconsciously we want people not to speak ill about us.
The more stable way of doing this would be to go one by one and understand where you are in that particular relationship trust level is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes, if there is a loyalty level trust set, this one doesn't even matter. The earlier levels, they don't even matter. Competence, commitment doesn't matter as long as I know that. And this is equally applicable to work life as well. Now my question to all of you is that if this is how you can check your relationships one by one, Ajal, if you see a trend, then do figure out, yeah,
Yes.
which level of trust are you able to build with your friends. And the guru mantra of building this trust, the guru mantra of building loyalty level trust is get into a habit of never ever speaking ill about anyone behind them. Just that much. And you will see how the whole ecosystem will start trusting and respecting it. Making
That's
sense?
a, that's a very beautiful way to live by.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we do is sometimes, Ruchi, uh, when when we have a lot of vent and I know that I don't want to go to the person and vent it out, I bring along my husband. I sit in front of him and I tell him that, you know what, and I share a loyalty level trust with him. I set expectations. Right now, no husband, you're my friend, and only listen. Don't react, don't respond. I don't need a response. Just listen, I need to vent out. And I just went out, and he very, meekly he'll ask, do you want me to share my point of view? I'm like, no, or yes, whatever I'm at that point in time the mood is. But then that's called contracting. While I'm sharing this with you, I don't need a reaction. It's just my vent. Maybe I'm angry and I'm saying that, but I want someone to listen to me. Kuch nahi hota if he's not available or I see him tensed for something else, then I go to my parents and I know that they'll never judge me. So I just call them and say, मुझे थोड़ा vent करना है, please अभी सुन लो. So giving this whole contracting before you even speak out, but only with people you know that you have loyalty level trust. They will not, and understanding level trust. They will not judge you. The feeling with our close one is always the ill feeling is mostly very temporary. बाद में लगता है क्या ये छोटी सी बात पे मैंने इतना वेंट कर दिया, right? Lot of times that happens. We come back and say it was nothing. But then the point is that who you are sharing with in relationships, what are the boundaries that you have, what are the trust levels you have, that helps you understand the quality of your relationships. So I'll zip my mouth now and ask all of you, how are you experiencing this? What are you thinking? What are your experience? Shweta, Noreen, Sandeep.
It was a beautiful takeaway to not talk about others and how to vent it out only to trusted trusted people if you have. So I think making peace and standing up, like just want to add that making peace and standing up for yourself is okay. So one very important thing that I took away is sometimes to avoid the person, you altogether lose the relationship. Sometimes it may not be worth it. So how do we mend and have those critical conversations? So it was a beautiful takeaway. Thank you.
Thanks, Noreen. Okay.
Okay, so I have a question. Um, Suppose the trust is already broken.
Oh, oh,
Okay, and you want a loyalty level trust with that person,
hmm,
but
hmm.
it's broken. So can it be built again?
Yes, it can be. My first
And how? Because like the Guru mantra you stated is never speak ill about that person anywhere. So which you start following now, but then it may take a very very long period of time to get that trust, that level of trust back.
why do you
And
want
it
to?
will still be judgmental. I very strongly feel it may still be not a loyalty level trust. It may be an understanding level trust or a sharing level trust, but not a loyalty level trust.
I have rebuilt it with one of my friends. It took a lot of time, and I did some crazy things in between just to manify her. It took me years of consistent efforts, but we are back. So whatever I'm going to share with you has been something that um, I've lived by. As we speak, I'm doing it with someone else as well, with whom long years ago it was broken, and I feel I need that relationship. Now, I'll I'll explain you in three simple steps. Okay. See, trust is nothing but anything that you see again and again and again. The brain gets predictability about the person and starts trusting. जैसे, and it could be negative trust also, that I trust that you will never fulfill your commitment. That's also a trust, no?
Hmm.
So it's just a behavior that needs to be repeated. Now the point is, this is the tool that I call it as CBI, my patent tool. I stands for something called intent. Why do you want to build that trust with the person? Why do you want to invest so much in that relationship? Because rebuilding trust, of course, it takes time. It takes a lot of efforts. It also takes some bracing on your self-esteem or ego, that you may call. But then why? This intent has to be very strong for you to rebuild that trust. If the intent is not strong, you will not be able to. So give yourself reasons of why you want to build that trust. Or itne reason de do that I mean, it has to happen. There is no other way out. So first of all, subconsciously be in alignment that yes, I want to rebuild this relationship. Then comes the action time. You go to the person, have an authentic conversation, and if I were you, I would say that I know that trusting me again will be a problem, and I'm just hoping for the day when you rebuild that trust. But then I'm going to change this, have a contracting that this is something that I'm going to consciously work on myself. You might get a smirk, you might get a laugh, you might get a lot of more poison from the person, because the person is already broken, right? So the person might say you things that are ill. They might make fun of you. That is the time when you change your behavior and they are making fun of you. That is the time it becomes very difficult for you to sustain, and that's when the strong intent comes. The strong intent will help you sustain. But what is this C? The C is called consistency. If irrespective of however they are behaving, if you are consistent with the new behavior, trust gets rebuilt. Trust do get rebuilt. But consistency, irrespective of how they are behaving with you, if you are consistent, there is no looking back. There'll be times when people are very unforgiving. They might not forgive you. But you know what? Even if you leave that at that, you will be at peace that I did everything I could. Right? So that sense of peace, that sense of harmony will be in your mind. कि मैंने किया. I did make a mistake. I broke the trust, but I did everything I could in my capacity to rebuild that. So you'll not live with that guilt. So it's a favor that we do to ourselves. And with that note, I know that we are already at 12:30. So, Ruchi, did you get the answer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I had one more question
Sure, sure. Please go ahead.
actually. I we started with an example. Suppose now you have nobody with which you have that level of trust, okay? And then that is also not right that you talk about somebody to someone, okay? But you need to vent out, and you don't have anybody to vent out. So what you suppose I am giving you that example wherein I splashed water at my friend. She got angry in between five other friends of mine, which I really didn't feel good about. So where do I vent this out, right? So I'm controlling myself to talk about it to the other four who saw her shouting at me, but I'm controlling. I didn't do this so far, but I'm just controlling myself. Where to vent this out? Because you
Bindu,
don't have that loyal, level of loyalty, trust, or I will be breaking that level of loyalty trust if I speak to somebody
Hmm,
about that
hmm,
person.
hmm,
How
hmm,
do I relieve myself from that stress, that tension which I'm going through right now, right?
hmm,
I'm just not liking it. I'm just feeling, I know I don't have to feel insulted. That's what I feel. It
hmm.
is, others may not be thinking the way I am thinking, but I just didn't like it, right? And I want to talk about it. Suppose this time I got an opportunity to
Ruchi,
talk about
what?
it to you, but
Yeah, yeah. So,
you
Ruchi,
may
what?
not be there always.
Absolutely. So, no, I will be there always, but then still.
Maybe
Yeah, but I don't want
Ruchi,
venting sessions with me.
Krishna,
can I add
I,
a question to that question, please?
Okay. Yes, Nuri.
So, one thing was sometimes they say when you write it out, you forget, like keep writing it and it's out of your mind. And sometimes to even carve it in your brain, you need to write again and again. So, but then in one of your sessions, I heard we have to be selective of what we write because it gets
Yeah.
carved in.
Yes,
So,
so
is
sometimes people
right.
use writing to vent out, but actually that further engraves negativity in your mind. So
Okay.
write out, but write very mindfully what you're writing. Right, you're learning out of it rather than the experience or how you're feeling about it. So that's a different thing. That's an art of generaling your thoughts. But Ruchi, to your question, um, I would question the need of venting out. So let's go back to the scenario. Why is it that every time something bad that happens, the only coping mechanism is venting out? Are you dependent on external ecosystem to feel better? And
maybe
imagine
yes.
the burden that you're putting the other person in, because your venting out is going to make that person negative, right? You are venting out a negative energy on that person, and it's a
So the
heavy.
first step is good that I didn't react. Okay,
Yes,
I did the right thing, but
absolutely.
I am not happy.
Hmm. So speak out. What stops you from talking to that person about it?
I know she is feeling bad about it because she came to me in the evening the same day, and she was just talking about her Crocs were broken. So I just asked her, "Oh, your Crocs broke? How come?" So she said, "Oh, in the water, and I got hurt in my knee also. I was
This
in a
is
very bad
nothing.
mood. I
Huh.
was in a
Please
very bad mood." She
explain.
just neither I said sorry nor she said sorry, but she spoke in front of four people
Hmm.
very rudely, which is hurting me till
Hmm.
now.
So speak to her. Say that,
Mm,
while I might have forgiven you, and even not that word, okay? So you can just say that I just wanted to share this thing that in front of four people, how you reacted that day. I felt really hurt. And I just wanted to let you know that's all. There is no other intention. You are my great friend and you will continue to be. But I just want to tell you that I felt very hurt, humiliated, or frustrated at that point in time. And just leave it there and say that you're close to me. I can take it up. Let her react whatever way she wants to, because at that point in time, two, three things that a person can do is either she will start explaining you, either or she'll make an apology, or she will be defending herself. Whatever it is, you will feel very good. You will feel very good that you were able to tell her. एक बार करके
and
देखो.
then there is a fear that then the friendship may end.
If friendship is so fragile, it better end now than never. Friendships don't end on these notes. Then you need to think, relook at your friends कि भाई अगर मुझे friends के साथ भी डर के रहना है, if I can't be open enough to tell my friends this, then I don't know what world I'm living in. And then you are right that you're pretending. Then you need to rework on the definition of friendship. Then is that so close to you? Why do we have this whole social relationship, or this group of friends? Why do we have them? So they are our support system. But support system को भी manage करने के लिए तुम्हें support system चाहिए, तो it will never end. You understand? So then you are pretending. So clarify in your mind, who are your friends, and what is the need of having such friends who cannot deal with your emotions, right? So be selective about them.
Mm. Okay, thank you.
So think about it and share. The best thing comes, your hurt will get out only when you share it with the same person. Trust me, you have shared it with me, with the group, you've shared it with other friends. If at all you share it, it will not get you peace till the time you share it with her. And that will not only get you and her in peace, because there is this large mountain that's between both of you. You're not talking about it. These are undercurrents and these will keep growing into something really nasty. There's no point,
Mm.
because you're not letting it go any which ways. So when you share it with the same person, it helps you build better, greater bonds for going forward. And like Shweta suggested, have a contracting for next time. That when things go wrong, is it okay if I tell you what I feel good and not good about? Setting those boundaries. So Pankaj, coming back to the first question that got into so many different beautiful dimensions. If I were you and if I make friends, I'll set boundaries. I will set contracts that, what, I have been through this, and these are some non negotiables in my friendships. Having those conversations through games, through talks, through just one on one, I mean, it just helps build right expectations and boundaries with every person in your life. For example, we build boundaries with our parents. We live with both sets of parents half of the year together. But even with parents, once you're married, you need boundaries. कि अच्छा ठीक है, we will talk about this, but we will not talk about our spouse. We will, if we are having conflicts, then we will, resolve it on our own. We don't want any kind of interference there. We set boundaries on how we want to uh, make our child grow. We've set boundaries on, kitna. So there are some times when we will not do home remedies, we will go to doctor, right? So setting those boundaries is important in every relationship. That just helps you strengthen it for long term. Setting those contracts help. When my daughter was born, I remember we sat across the table, two sets of parents, me, my husband, all of us sat across the table, and we shared what we think can go wrong. And all our parents, we are very lucky, we are gracious enough, and they made contracts and they stand by it, and we are able to live happily as a joint family. But the point is that these kind of conversations, everyone who wants to build relationship with us will be delighted to have this conversation to make it stronger. So with that, um let me end the session formally. Were any other thoughts that you have, any closing notes, and we can continue this discussion on a Positive Lights group? People who are watching this on YouTube, please do join Positive Lights on Facebook. I'll share the link in the description. But any closing note from all of you who are there in the session?
I'm taking away a guru mantra.
Great. Tell me how it goes, and I'm there.
Okay. Thank you.
Super. Anyone else?
Yeah, thanks very much, Bindu. Very, very nice session. So, you know what I have kind of realized, just to add to your point. One is the setting the boundary. Second is, as we move along in our relationship, resetting the boundaries is
Hmm.
equally important. You know, so because equation do change, and if you are able to reset the boundaries with that, then you will sell through that phase, and again you may come back to the same boundaries what you had earlier. You know, so the closeness. So yeah, very, very good tips, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Pankaj. Thank you, Ruchi, and everyone who joined in, and everyone who's watching. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
Bye,
Bindu.
and Happy New
Thank
Year
you,
in
bye bye.
advance.
Happy New Year
To
to all
you
of you.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy New
Happy
Year.
New Year. Bindu, I would want
Happy
to
New
take
Year.
one last minute to share that you've brought this beautiful group together and you keep it going selflessly, helping, I think, a lot of people around. And in my case, it was life-saving experience. For me, it totally altered. So I think there's this people and their energy all around where we are helping each other through positive lights. And even these sessions on vacations, taking time and helping everybody, I think we all are benefited by it, and it means a lot. Taking time for people on a vacation and helping us learn something new and sharing knowledge. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Means a lot. And all of you are also taking time out to learn during vacation. So it's mutual. Thank you so much, everyone. I am very, very lucky and grateful for this group. Beautiful group that we formed. Stay put. Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.